Okay guys, as this video is entitled, I plan on teaching you how to beat live poker. It may come as a shock to a lot of you, but the secret is a pretty mundane one, if you will. The secret is to save bets in marginal situations. That means not overdoing medium hands, so that when you do come to the big pots, you're not just trying to get back to even, you're trying to double up on profit. So this is just a short session I played last night, and it's a hand that kind of exemplifies what I am talking about. I had a pretty good hand, but when it came to relative hand strength as opposed to absolute hand strength, it was a pretty easy fold. And I'm going over it because I think a lot of people in this situation might have made a mistake and possibly lost a lot of their money. However, for me it was a very easy fold. I'm just going to kind of go over my thought process and how I came about making that decision. So here I am in the small blind. I have 9-7 off. The only two players you need to know about are Villain 1, who had been playing a lot of hands, but he hadn't gotten out of line. He was winning a lot of pots, a lot of big ones, but he liked to show all of his hands, and he always had almost the nuts. So he was just kind of on a heater, and he was playing strong. So I wasn't too worried about him. He would let you know if he had anything. And then we have the button here, who I've been sitting next to, and this guy had just been bleeding away money. I mean, he just kept calling. And he'd also made a couple of spewy plays. He raised a paired board when there was already a bet and a call, and he didn't have anything. So I wasn't too worried about him either. If I hit anything, I knew he'd pay me off, which he ended up doing at the end of the night. But because I folded this hand, I had enough chips to bust him at the end of the night without having to rebuy. Alright, so the table had been pretty loose, a lot of raising and calling and seeing flops multi-ways. So this one actually got limped around, which was kind of unique, but I was fine to pay an extra $1 to try to hit something in the small blind with a relatively connected hand. Okay, so the pot should be $10. For some reason it's not picking up my 2. But anyways, in retrospect I should have led here. I didn't, because an orbit or two earlier this exact situation came up, and I had trips in the small blind, and I led, and I didn't get any calls. So I didn't want to be, transparent, but people don't have a really good memory live, so I should have just led here. I was being silly not to. But you can't let early mistakes compound into later mistakes. So I made one mistake this hand, and that was the only one, thankfully. So I check, big blind checks. It looks like it's going to check through, and then the button decides to bet $10. I could raise here, but I kind of want to let this guy hang himself because he could have anything. So I just decided to flat it. And then this is a pretty strange play because it's such a small raise. Like normally a check raise here should be in the range of $40, possibly more. So this tells me it's for value. He could definitely have a 9. He could do this with 10 jack if he was feeling weird, or maybe even ace 8 if he doesn't give him credit and maybe not me credit. He could think I have something like 7-6. So at this point I'm cautiously optimistic that I still have the best hand, but I'm not certain. And the button calls because of course he'll call anything, and I don't want to compound any mistakes. Re-raising here, it'd be bad. I mean, I'm folding out anything I beat if I re-raise, and I'm getting called by hands that beat me, which is the last thing you want to do with any bet. That's kind of a fundamental theory. So 10 lands on the turn. Not the best card, not the worst card either, but it doesn't make a ton of a difference. I don't think, if someone had 7-6, obviously they got there, but 7-6 might not even be good in this situation. This guy could certainly have 7-6 beat already. So it wasn't so much about what turned, more as to what this guy was going to do now. So I checked to him, and he makes a pretty sizable bet. 150 I'm just kind of estimating, because he just took his biggest stack and he shoved it forward. And that basically said all I needed to know. Combined with what I knew about the guy, that he had been showing up in big pots with big hands, and his confidence. I mean, he just cut out a big stack and pushed it forward. He did not know the amount, but the way he did that, it said he was supremely confident in his holdings. And at that point, I knew my hand was worthless. Had he deliberated and bet something like 60 or 70, I would have had a tough decision. And this guy probably would have folded, because I don't think he would ever have a worse 9 here. That being said, I'm not there, but I definitely gave this guy a lot of credit. So unless he bet something like under $50, I probably wasn't going to look him up. So this is where you really have to delineate between absolute hand strength and relative hand strength. Too many people make the mistake. They see trips and I think that's a strong hand, which it is. But in this situation, absolute hand strength means nothing compared to relative hand strength. And this guy has just said with this bet that he has a relatively stronger hand than me, and I certainly believe him because I have no cause not to. So when it comes around to me, I actually folded my 9 face up, just like that, and it wasn't even, I didn't even need a second thought, and he actually ended up showing 10-9, and so he definitely had me beat on the flop, and the turn really sealed the deal. But just goes to show, if you're paying attention and you can kind of get away from emotion, everything I needed to see was there on the turn, really, with his bet sizing, how confident he was, and his history. It really wasn't an option at all. So that's just kind of what I'm talking about when I'm saying, don't let marginal holdings bleed you dry. Because I think a lot of people make that call there, and they'd be really mistaken. All right, guys. So just remember, when you're going out there, play aggressive, control the action, and don't bleed chips.